Hey, folks, this is man once again. Hopefully a smaller review. Hopefully I can do like a little bit of, smaller reviews. Because that's probably not going to work. But this is for a film that I saw way back in 2003 in the theater, actually. This is back when I actually went to the theater a lot. And that is the film SWAT. Now, as you can see, SWAT, directed by a guy named Clark Johnson. I was going to say Carl, I don't know why. But I was also going to say, of course, you can see the cast is Samuel Jackson, Colin Farrell, Michelle Rodriguez, and LL Cool J. Now, Clark Johnson, the guy, he's basically tried to make it work as an actor in a lot of films, and he's directed a lot of TV. And apparently had like little teeny bit roles in films like Colors, Adventures in Babysitting, stuff like that. Um, he was part of the original cast of Homicide: Life on the Street. But this film, he directed this film, and this film was a big hit. It cost like 70 some million, 80 million, and made over 100 million in the US, about 200 million worldwide total. But then, really enough, he didn't get any jobs. Like, he got one more film 3 years later, The Sentinel. That's one with Michael Douglas and Kiefer Sutherland. And they did a lot of, TV. A lot of just TV stuff, so I don't know what happened. But apparently, there's a lot of directors who are actually up for the directing this film, including he was. You know who was going to direct this film actually? One guy, Zack Snyder. Yes, the Zack Snyder, who we all know now from certain films like Dawn of the Dead remake and 300, Watchmen, among others. And he was going to direct this film, Zack Snyder. But he left the project because he wanted, in his opinion, wanted to do a grittier take on the material. Uh, but then, of course, about a year or so later, he got Dawn of the Dead remake, which, worked out fine. But yeah, Zack Snyder was going to do this film. Yeah, and this film made 116 million in the U.S. on an $80 million budget. That's pretty good. But yeah, like I was saying, Zack Snyder was going to do this film, and that would be interesting. I mean, when I first saw this film, I was not really a big fan of it when I saw it in the theater. I will say it's a film that's grown on me, and watching it again, I was fairly entertained by this film. I really was. I did not grow up with the TV show, the 70s TV show of SWAT. I know there's a character named Hondo. Was it Hondo? That was played by an old white guy, and here it's played by Samuel L. Jackson. And the long story short is that you have Colin Farrell, and his partner is actually Jeremy Renner. And I'm like, oh shit, Jeremy Renner's in this too? Because I haven't seen this film in a long time. Long, long time. I'm like, I saw this there on my shelf. I want to watch this again. And I actually like this film. You know, I will say the film does feel a little bit too long. I think you could cut, 5 or so minutes of it out. But anyway, yeah, Jeremy Renner and Colin Farrell are two people on the SWAT team, LA SWAT team. In the beginning, you have this situation going on, and Jeremy Renner breaks protocol and shoots a hostage, just injuring her, but they get the bad guys as well, and they get chewed out. And Jeremy Renner's a hothead, and he ultimately gets kicked out. And the captain, this asshole, wants Colin Farrell to turn on his partner, but he doesn't. But Jeremy Renner believes that he did. So now Jeremy Renner's kicked off the force, and Colin Farrell is now just helping with the guns. Like he's in that they call the gun cage. Until months later, Samuel Jackson comes in. Has been brought in to get a group of people to, I guess, form a SWAT team that will give a better morale to the public about the police. And basically, the first half of the film is that and finding the members and training to be SWAT. So again, they find Michelle Rodriguez, they find LL Cool J. They also have these two guys, Brian Van Holt and Josh Charles. Uh, Brian Van Holt, I have no idea who this guy is or what he went on to do. Um, Josh Charles, I know I've seen that guy in movies too. I can't remember though. Uh, but yeah, the first half of the film is mainly finding them and training them to be SWAT. Brian Van Holt went on to be in Black Hawk Down, Wind Talkers, House of Wax. I did not know he was in House of Wax. Who is he in House of Wax? Huh, I didn't know he was in House of Wax. Oh, he's the killers in House of Wax. Okay. The Brian Van Holt character. Okay, he's the killer in House of Wax. The killers, I guess. He plays the character Boxer. Josh Charles, the other guy they hire, I know he's been on stuff. TV show Sports Night. Dead Poet Society he was in. He was in Muppets from Space. Crossworlds, that's what I remember from. Crossworlds. And he was in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. That's another one I remember. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. He was in that film. Okay. And then the second half of the film is basically you have this bad guy who, stupid enough, Oliver Martinez is the guy. He's this guy who has this drug empire. He's in the U.S. and he gets basically pulled over because he has like a tail light out. Then they run his records, they find out who he really is, and he's supposed to be transported. And then he blurts out in front of cameras that he'll pay anyone $100 million to get him out. And then you have like little bits of action scenes when they're trying to get the bad guy out. And also you find out that Jeremy Renner and some folks, they're the ones who are going to try to get the bad guy out and take out the SWAT team. And I remember when I first saw this in the theater, I wasn't the biggest fan of this film because what the film tries to do is more of a believable film. It really is trying to be more like a believable action sequences. Although I guess some would say, the ending where you have these four guys in a limo chasing down an airplane on a bridge. And Sam Jackson hits the fucking tire of the airplane, boom, boom, and the tire fucks up, and then the plane skids to a halt. Maybe that could happen. I don't know. I've never done it. But via the trailer, I thought it was going to be kind of a different movie because I didn't know much about the TV show SWAT. In 2003, I probably didn't even know it was based on a TV show called SWAT. I just thought, okay, cool, a SWAT team. I thought the whole movie was about them going from point A to point B with this prisoner, and everywhere they turn, there are bad guys trying to kill their ass because they want the $100 million that this guy promised them. So I thought it'd be like, okay, 15, 20 minutes of getting to know these guys, and then the rest of the movie is basically them being assaulted everywhere they turn by people trying to get them left, right, and center in order to collect on the $100 million. Like people are actually coming out of the woodwork, but that's not really the case. But seeing it, after almost 10 years, so yeah, 9 years difference now. I do like the film. I like the cast. Michelle Rodriguez, Colin Farrell, Sam Jackson, LL Cool J. Michelle Rodriguez doesn't die in this film. Holy shit! Just like in Battle Los Angeles. So. But I like these guys. Colin Farrell, I liked him in this film. Definitely compared to like Friday Night Remake and I'm sure, the Total Recall remake. But Colin Farrell did a fine job in this film. So did Samuel L. Jackson. I just have a note I should mention that the writer of this film is actually David Ayer, or Ayer. I'm not sure how you pronounce his last name, A-Y-E-R. I'm not 100% how you pronounce his name, David. Just say, for argument, David Ayer. I may be wrong, but just for sake of argument. This is the guy who wrote the first Fast and the Furious film. His big break is writing Training Day. But he also directed Street Teens with Keanu Reeves, which is another film I enjoy. He wrote the film Dark Blue, good Kurt Russell performance. He wrote and directed a film called Harsh Times, which I haven't seen. And then, which is weird because they say this is a 2011 film, but it obviously didn't come out in 2011. He was approached to write and direct the remake of Commando, which thankfully that film seems to not be going anywhere, because I remember it was supposed to star Sam Worthington in the lead role. It's supposed to have a more realistic approach. Which you don't need to touch fucking Commando, but if they're touching Total Recall, of course they don't do that, so whatever. But as for the film itself, I mean, do I have problems with the film? Yeah, I mean, granted, I would still love to see that idea that, you know, a SWAT team escorting a guy, $100 million, everybody comes out of the woodwork, almost like a reverse of the Warriors. Instead of, you know, in a way, kind of like the Warriors, and the fact that they go from A to B and everywhere they turn, but instead of being a gang, they're a SWAT team. And, you know, instead of their own names, they got to take this prisoner to where it needs to go. And I thought that'd be a very cool action film. But this one's trying to go for a more believable approach, which you either don't like it or hate it. That's just, I don't know, best way to put it. And with the cast involved here, I actually was entertained. I actually liked seeing how the SWAT team, you know, did their training, how these guys do their training, whether it be at the, I guess you call it the shooting range, how they do procedures, because they have to train in order to pass to actually be SWAT members. So they have a scenario where, what if there were terrorists on this plane, and have to figure out how to get in and out. I found that actually kind of interesting. It's definitely not wall-to-wall action. You do have a certain little cliches, like the captain being an asshole, you know, not liking Colin Farrell and Sam Jackson and stuff. Although this is a white guy, not a black captain, so at least they changed that. But there's certain things like, I like they didn't just sucker in Michelle Rodriguez, Colin Farrell fall in love and, you know, having a sex scene, which that would have, you know, sometimes they force that and they didn't do that. Okay, that makes more sense. And the action scenes have more of a trying to be believable take. And there were times where I'm like, fuck it, let's, you know, have fun with it. Let's have fun. Come on, you know, don't take it so. Let's have some fun with these action scenes. But in a way, and it's not because of critics. Just I thought critics liked this film. It only gets a 48% on Rotten Tomatoes. It only gets a 5 point something on IMDb. So I was wrong on that. Although I know Roger Ebert. Roper and Ebert really liked this film. They gave it 2 thumbs up, but I like the procedures. I like the cast again. I enjoy this cast. It was cool to see Jeremy Renner in there. Now I think he did this film like right after Dahmer. I think playing Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah, Jeremy Renner playing Jeffrey Dahmer. I think he did that right before this film. It was cool to see him as the bad guy. I will admit, in the third act, what sucks is that LL Cool J and Michelle Rodriguez doesn't seem like they have a lot to do in the third act. Like, basically, they chase down the plane, they have a little shootout. Michelle Rodriguez gets hit, but her flat jacket, you know, saves her. LL Cool J runs and grabs the prisoner, Oliver Martinez. Colin Farrell chases down Jeremy Renner, and you have a half-ass fight in the train yard, which I didn't care for. I mean, I like Colin Farrell in this movie, and I like Jeremy Renner in this film, but the fight in the train yard was kind of half-assed. I think it could have been a much better fight. And a better location than the train yard. I mean, I don't know, just didn't really seem like much. You know, it was like kind of a forgettable fight, to be honest. So while I do have problems, like there is a part of me that I wish I could have seen that film that I thought I was going to see. I would still like to see that film. The film does feel a little bit too long. A little bit too long. So maybe if 10 or so minutes was cut out, in little pieces here or there. Uh, the fight scene between Jeremy Renner and I was going to say Mark Wahlberg. Colin Farrell is not the greatest, to be honest. But seeing the first half, seeing these guys train, and then it was actually fun. Like when they sit around the table and actually Cool J, da da da, like the theme from SWAT. Yeah, we're SWAT. Yeah, na na na, da da da, da da da, da da da, da da da. Um, and I think it really helps when you got a cast that you like, and I like this cast. I like these four guys. Jeremy Renner's the bad guy. That really helped a lot. Find these guys, and it has a fun vibe to them. Fun vibe to the film. It was interesting seeing them train and how they do it, or using this device that Colin Farrell thought up. Where this guy, he's like off his meds, they jam into a wall, and then they take the wall out and they arrest him there. Um, and you do get some bits of action at the end, like they send a fake. They think the prisoners in there, and they send a fake one out so that people who heard the $100 million reward, they attack that. But in fact, these four guys are taking the prisoner underneath the city, which is actually a smart thing to do. But yeah, I mean, I appreciated more that I was trying to go that route. And I do like the film. I'm glad I have the DVD. I enjoy the film. You know, I joined the film for like what I said before. A little bit too long, and Michelle Rodriguez, LL Cool J would like to have gotten them to do more in the third act. And the fight scene between Jeremy Renner and why do I keep saying Mark Wahlberg? Colin Farrell. I wish that fight would have been better, but overall, a fun, likable cast. Um, I appreciated the believable aspect in this film that they were trying to go for. Seeing the SWAT team tactics and things like that was interesting, actually. So maybe it wasn't the film I thought I was going to see in theaters in 2003, but after seeing it, I know there's a made-to-DVD sequel in name only called SWAT Firefight. I think Robert Patrick is the bad guy. Nobody in this cast returns, but at least that I know of. But I like SWAT. Entertaining film, you know. So I guess this isn't a short one. It's 18 minutes already, but either way, thanks for watching. Take care, and we will see you later. Ciao.